Imagine this. You're the CEO of a huge tech company. You've just had the best year in your company's history. Pulled in over $10 billion in revenue in, 3 months?
Yeah, in just a single quarter.
You beat every single Wall Street estimate.
Yeah.
You walk off the stage feeling great. You trick the market, and your company's stock has just dropped 17%.
That sounds like a bad dream, honestly.
Right.
But that's exactly what happened to Dr. Lisa Su and AMD this week.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are unpacking the paradox of AMD's Q4 2025 earnings. We've got the financial reports, the earnings call transcript, all of it.
And our mission today is to figure out how this happens, how a company can be in a record-breaking supercycle, as they call it, and still get hammered by the market.
Is it a glitch in the system, or is something fundamentally wrong here?
It's really a classic story of what a company delivers versus what the AI hype machine demands. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but before we start talking billions.
Yes, the mandatory part. We are going to be throwing around a lot of numbers today, so please remember, all the information and analysis discussed here is only to help everyone understand the market better and is not investment advice. Investment involves risk. Please do your homework before entering the market or consult a professional financial advisor.
Exactly. We're just here to do the reading for you. So let's dissect this so-called disaster of a quarter.
Okay, let's start with the scoreboard, because just looking at AMD slides, it feels like a victory lap. Q4 2025 revenue was $10.3 billion.
An all-time record. That's up 34% from the same time last year.
And the whole year, 2025, hit $34.6 billion, also a record. But what about profit?
Right, because revenue is one thing. Their non-GAAP net income, which is, their core profit, was $2.5 billion for the quarter. Solid.
And I'm looking at the cash flow statement here. Free cash flow nearly doubled to $2.1 billion. Okay, so unpack that for me. Why is free cash flow so important right now?
Think of it as the company's war chest. It's the actual cash they have to build new factories, buy companies, or just pour into R&D.
So in an arms race like AI, you need that cash.
You need piles of it just to compete.
Yeah.
So by any normal metric, revenue, profit, cash AMD is absolutely crushing it.
So I see record, I see the war chest filling up, and then I see the headline, AMD sinks 17%. What's the disconnect? Is the market just crazy?
The market isn't looking backwards. It's a forward-looking machine. It doesn't care about what you did yesterday. It cares about what you're going to do tomorrow.
And it all comes down to one word.
Guidance. Yeah. AMD told investors they expect revenue for the next quarter, Q1 2026, to be around $9.8 billion.
But wait, $9.8 billion is almost the same as their record quarter. And the official analyst consensus was, $9.38 billion? So they beat on the past, and their future forecast also beat the official estimates. I feel like I'm losing my mind here.
You're looking at the official numbers. But in the AI trade, there's a shadow game being played with what people call whisper numbers.
Whisper numbers. Sounds like something from a spy movie.
It kind of is, but with billions of dollars on the line. It's the unofficial, hyped-up expectation. Investors wanted to hear $10.5 billion, maybe $11 billion.
So the stock was priced for perfection, as they say.
Exactly. When that happens, just being great isn't good enough. You have to be absolutely world-shattering to justify the price.
So AMD is like an Olympic runner who just won gold, but the crowd is mad because they didn't break the world record by a whole minute.
That's a perfect analogy. The market wanted a sci-fi explosion. AMD gave them steady, powerful industrial growth, and right now, steady gets punished.
Well, let's pop the hood and look at the engine that's supposed to be driving all this. We have to talk about the data center segment.
This is the crown jewel. If you want to see if the AI supercycle is real, you look right here.
The numbers are just staggering. Data center revenue alone, $5.4 billion, up 39% year over year.
I mean, think about it. A few years ago, AMD was the gaming chip company. Now this one enterprise segment is bigger than their gaming and PC businesses combined.
That is a massive pivot.
They're an enterprise infrastructure company now. And that growth comes from two key product lines. The EPYC CPUs, which are the main processors, and the Instinct GPUs, the AI accelerators.
Let's drill into the AI side first. The Instinct MI350 series, this is their main weapon against NVIDIA, right?
It is. And they're ramping up production like crazy. But the really interesting thing in the earnings call wasn't just the chip. It was a whole new product line they call Helios.
I saw that. The Helios platform. Sounds cool, but is it just marketing speak or is it something real?
Oh, it's very real. And it signals a huge shift. Traditionally, AMD sells a chip. You buy it, you build your own server.
Right.
Helios is what they call a rack scale platform.
Okay, what does rack scale mean for a regular person?
Imagine you're building a kitchen. You don't want to buy the lumber and the screws and build the cabinets yourself. You just want the finished cabinets ready to install.
Right, I just want to cook.
A rack is one of those tall, black server cabinets. Helios means AMD is working with companies like HP to sell the entire cabinet pre-built. GPUs, CPUs, networking, cooling, all of it.
So it's a supercomputer in a box. You just plug it into the wall.
Basically. And for their business, it's huge. Instead of just selling one part, they're selling the whole solution. It speeds up everything for the customer.
That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of the different parts, there was a great moment in the CNBC interview with Lisa Su. The host was saying analysts are ignoring the CPU side of the business.
Yeah, that everyone's so obsessed with AI graphics cards, they think the normal CPU is dead.
And she jumped right on that.
She did, because it's a myth. There's this narrative that the CPU is obsolete, but it's just not true.
Okay, so if the GPU is doing all the heavy lifting for AI, why do I need a powerful CPU at all?
Because the GPU is like a muscle. It's incredibly strong, but it needs a brain to tell it what to do. The CPUs are what they call head nodes.
Head nodes.
Yeah, they manage all the data traffic and feed the work to the thousands of GPUs. If your head node is slow, your billion-dollar GPUs just sit there doing nothing.
Ah, so the CPU is the traffic controller. The more AI chips you buy, the better your traffic controller needs to be.
Exactly. They're complementary, not competitive. And the data shows it. AMD's server CPU sales to AWS and Google are growing. Their new Turin processor is being adopted really fast. So the CPU didn't die, it got a promotion.
Let's shift from the giant server farms to our desks, the client's segment laptops and desktops. Also a record quarter, $3.1 billion, up 34%.
And this is the other half of the AI story. We're now in the era of the AI PC.
I see that sticker on everything now. Is it just a sticker, or are people actually buying these?
The numbers say they're buying. AMD's Ryzen desktop CPUs have been the #1 bestseller at major retailers for 4 straight quarters.
A full year. That's dominance.
It is. The idea is that people want to run smaller AI tasks, like summarizing a document or editing a photo right on their laptop without sending data to the cloud. You need a special chip for that, an MPU, and AMD is riding that upgrade wave.
And what about gaming? A few years ago, this whole deep dive would have just been about PlayStation and Xbox.
It's still a good business. $843 million in revenue, up 50% year over year, which sounds great until you remember the data center is doing over $5 billion.
It's just been completely overshadowed.
Yeah, gaming is now the smaller sibling to the data center giant.
It's just wild to see that shift. We shouldn't forget the embedded segment either, the chips in cars and factory robots.
Right. That was about $950 million, up just 3%. But they mentioned Ryzen AI embedded. Think of a robot on a factory line using a camera to spot defects. That's a huge long-term market.
Okay, so we've got record revenue, an exploding data center business, a rebounding PC market, but we have to come back to the stock drop. We talked about whisper numbers, but were there any real, actual problems?
There was one, and it's a big one, China.
Right, I saw this buried deep in the report, something about an MI308 chip.
Yes, this is a critical detail. AMD made a special version of their AI chip, the MI308, specifically to comply with U.S. export rules for China. In Q4, they sold about $390 million worth of that chip.
Almost $400 million. That's a huge number.
It is. But here's the kicker. This explains the soft guidance. For Q1 of 2026, AMD is forecasting 0 revenue from China for that chip.
0? Why? Did demand just disappear?
No, the demand is there. They called it a dynamic situation. What it means is they're waiting for export licenses from the U.S. government, and the rules keep changing.
So they just took $400 million out of their forecast because of regulatory uncertainty.
Exactly. They decided it was safer to assume they won't get the licenses. It's a geopolitical headwind that is completely out of their control. It has nothing to do with their technology or their execution.
That really changes the context of the guidance miss. Another risk that came up was competition from ARM-based chips. Lisa Su seemed pretty confident about that.
She doubled down. She believes by 86, the architecture AMD uses will stay dominant because of the software ecosystem. There are decades of software built for x86. It's a huge pain for developers to switch.
So her bet is that the whole market is growing so fast that their slice of the pie is just going to get bigger and bigger?
Precisely. And she's calling 2026 a major inflection point.
I love that phrase. What's the inflection?
It's their product roadmap. They're launching their next-gen accelerator, the MI450, in the second half of 2026. And their goal, which is incredibly bold, is to grow data center revenue by more than 60% annually for the next 3 to 5 years.
Wait, 60% annual growth on a business that's already doing $5 billion a quarter? That's massive.
It means they think the AI supercycle is just getting warmed up, and they get that, this stock drop will look like a tiny little blip, but it requires flawless execution.
So let's try to rack this all up. We started with the paradox. Best year ever, stock gets crushed.
Right. And I think the conclusion is that the best year ever part is very real. The financials are solid. The pivot to an AI infrastructure company is working.
But the stock crash is about the market's insatiable hunger and the cold, hard reality of geopolitics.
The market wanted a fairy tale, and AMD gave them a very good business plan with a serious note of caution about China. The whisper numbers were just disconnected from reality.
The key takeaway feels like the AI supercycle is now an infrastructure play. It's not just one magic chip. It's about these massive rack-scale systems like Helios with CPUs and GPUs all working together.
Absolutely. While traders are freaking out about short-term guidance, AMD is busy pouring the concrete for the next decade of computing. They're betting that the world's need for computation is basically infinite.
It really makes you think about the scale of all this. I want to leave our listeners with one final thought on that Helios system.
Go for it.
We're talking about companies buying thousands of these supercomputers in a box. We are fast approaching a world where computing isn't a thing you own on your desk. It's a utility, like electricity. You just plug into the cloud and rent a slice of a massive computer that AMD built and some other giant owns.
The laptop is just the terminal. The real computer is somewhere else.
Exactly. We're all just renting time on the big machine.
That's a fascinating and kind of scary thought.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening. Hope you liked today's content. See you in the next episode.